And now, having to move to Thailand when we moved, in the middle right after, the pandemic, and we just sold everything. And first of all, it just takes a lot of courage for us to have sold our house, sold our cars, sold everything, and said, okay, we're going to go to Colombia. We're not only going to do all of that, but we're also going to take our business, take our relationship, and just say yes. And so when we talk about pressing the button, when we talk about, taking sacrifices, when we talk about all these things, we just don't talk about it, we do it. And that's how we've lived our creed and our motto in all aspects of our life. With the way that America is going right now, with rent, with, food, with the type of food, with just the vibration and the energy, I can assure you that living out of the country would do you so much better, especially if you have the ability to make income in America and travel out there.
And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we want to welcome you all to the amazing Getting Naked podcast in the Metaverse, one of the first podcasts in the Metaverse, where we encourage you guys to come and join us and be a part of our podcast. This ain't no crusty, dusty Spotify, YouTube, where you just got to sit there and listen to it. You can actually come and be a part of this podcast and ask questions and put your actual experience in to where we can immerse and engage and experience in a whole new way, to where you're not just wishing you could talk, you actually can talk, but it's up to you to press the button. And if you don't know, we are the owners, the CEOs, the CFO, the heartbeat, everything of the Hello LLC. And Hello stands for Helping Entrepreneurs Leverage Leading Edge Optimizations. And we want more for you than from you at the end of the day. And I have my amazing other half, Tara, and we're here to just talk about new cultures, new questions, new point of view abroad. If you don't know, we've been living abroad now for the last 4 years, and it has been a whirlwind, a different experience, a different mindset for sure from coming from America. And we're here to talk about it. So what you got?
Yo, welcome in. Happy Thursday evening to all. I hope you guys are having a beautiful day wherever you are. It is day for us. It is nighttime for you, so gotta love that. But yeah, I'm excited to have this conversation. We chit-chat about this conversation offline quite a bit, and it is one of the greatest choices that we have made for ourselves. We understand that that's not for everybody, but we also understand that a lot of people, it is for them. So we're sharing our experience, and that is just what we're sharing, which is our experience. Guess what? Everybody's experience is going to be different. Why is everybody's experience going to be different? Because they have, everybody has their own set of moral compasses, codes, how they see things, the lenses that they look through life in. So everybody's experiences are different. So, I'm excited to have this conversation. We got lots of conversations and topics to cover. And so, let's dive into the first conversation topic. Mr. Jones, what would be the first on our agenda that we're going to dive into? I know I'll just pull it up because let's just start off with a big base. We are talking about getting naked here. So you have some friends back home that you got to jump on a call with and chat with. And what was the first question that they wanted to know all about? And I think us living here, we're kind of, maybe, I wouldn't say blind to it. It's just not the main focus.
Yeah.
And what I'm speaking about was the first question was ladyboys. So I point you to that was the first question.
Well, we're just going right into it.
We're getting naked. We're here.
It's a great question. And the sad part about it is this is where we talk about how, society and social media and, people sharing and what they, talk about and what they focus on, when the facts of the matter is, check this out, there's 2.8 million transgenders in America compared to the 300,000 that are here in Thailand. And so when people talk about ladyboys, transgenders, different, experiences that people are having with their sexuality that has nothing to do with you, right, in any shape, form, or fashion, that's the first go-to. And the crazy thing is I went out one night, and these guys were literally like, "Oh my God, I'm worried about the ladyboys. I'm worried about this. I'm worried about that." I'm like, "What are you talking about? You came from New York. Are you kidding me?" And so,
about getting mugged,
yeah, and you should be worried about getting mugged and all these other things. And so we're so focused on so many different things. And that's what we talk about with culture shock, with how Americans think about the rest of the world, especially when we lived in Mexico. I shared the story with you guys beforehand that, living in Mexico, you got to understand there are different types of Latino people. There's Ecuador, there's Salvador, there's Colombian, there's Brazil, there's, all these different, ethnic groups that are in these different, these different ethnicities. And we are so blind and so racist against these people. And we have no clue that they're all different. And even now being over in Asia, there's different from Taiwan. There's different from Japanese. There's different from Hong Kong people. There's different from Thai people. There's different from Singapore people. And, now being over here for almost 6 months, you can kind of tell a little bit of a difference. But being in the States, we would just call people Asians, or you Chinaman, or the Asian woman, or, you can't drive. And that's even something more that when we talk about Asians people, it would always be, and I'll speak from my point of view, this is getting naked real raw. Oh, damn, Asian people can't drive. And I've taken that back, because my ass would not drive at all here in Thailand. And I would be the Asian woman that didn't know how to drive here, because these people drive crazy. I mean, not only do you have to worry about cars, motorcycles, people walking, everything under the moon, it is just chaos times 10. Take 610 traffic and times that times 100 with bikes and people and all of that.
People walking across
people walking across that, the 610 and all that. And that's everywhere you go. And so it's just a culture shock that was the first thing that I really wanted to talk about. And showcase. And so, but before
sorry, I just was off.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Because one of the things that we do want to share with you guys is just the serenity that you do have, being in Thailand. That I'm telling you, I've taken 500 flights in America, and there's nowhere in America that I've seen that has this type of view. Check this out.
I saw a piece of heaven waiting in patience for me, dawn. And I was running far away. Would I run off the wall someday? Nobody knows, nobody knows. And I was dancing in the rain. I felt alive and I can't complain. But no, take me home where I belong.
Yeah, and so that right there is a great view, guys, of the temples that is everywhere in Thailand. And there's different views. There's different Buddha temples, standing Buddha, laying down Buddha, Buddha on the water. They got Buddhas everywhere, and it's just
Buddha,
a different
Buddha everywhere.
exactly.
Buddha
It's
everywhere.
just a different experience when you go to these places, and it's the serenity and the culture that you just don't get that energy and vibration, I think, in the States. And this is what we talk about, is the energy, is the vibration that's different, and you just can't talk about it. It's something you have to experience. And this is where we share with people. You just don't get it until you get outside. And I'm not talking about traveling to Mexico, Cancun, the backyard, Jamaica, staying on the resort, going to the beach, going to the buffet, going to the club, going to the hotel room, and doing it all over for 3 days and going back to work. That's not traveling, unfortunately. And look, I thought that was the moon. I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm going there. And we're going, an hour flight compared to, 10-hour flights and 20-hour flights. That's when you're doing some travel and staying there and, entrenching yourselves. But what you got?
Yeah, I think some great things there I kind of wanted to unpack was the first thing I wanted to get into, because you already opened up the can of worms, and it was, and we have talked about this so much, and so go ahead and, pull off the other Band-Aid, is Mexico. Let's just talk about, Mexico. Yes, we're in Thailand, but I know everybody knows, well, you guys are in Mexico and you used to say, you know, Mexico's safe and this, that, and the other. Let me say this. This conversation is never about religions, politics, you know, things like that nature, but
it is telling the truth.
It is telling the truth, and it is what is so. While we were in Mexico, there was a different administration within the United States White House. So there was a different president at the command. And when that president was in command, whether you know, are for or against that, there was not a lot of hostile things happening between, you know, Mexico and the United States, you know, so there wasn't a lot of hostility. You know, of course, there's always the conversation about the Texas-Mexico border, you know, that border, whatever, but there was not a whole lot of hostility. As we are seeing right now, that is being sparked in the United States based off of the current administration and their programs and actions and words and things that they are doing to ignite that fire. And so if you have not seen in the last week, the cartel in Mexico has made it very publicly known that they are upset with United States. They're particularly upset with Cash Patel with the FBI. And because of that, they are going to start targeting Americans. And they have made that known in resort areas, i.e. Cancun, Tulum, the Riviera Maya, or over in Cabo San Lucas in the Baja, Mexico, Tijuana area. They have not, and Mexico City. Now, with all that said, we lived in central Mexico. And what a lot of people don't realize is that where we lived, the state in what we lived in, because think of, you know, we lived in the state of Guanajuato, and we lived in the capital city of Guanajuato, which was Guanajuato City. And it is very cultured UNICEF. It is a UNICEF city, if you know what that is. But it is a very cultured, a very old historic city. And it was a very kind of sleepy, not a lot happening. You knew your neighbor, and things were great there where we lived. Now, with that stated, the state that we lived in was heavy cartel. And I am sure that the same rules apply, not just in the resort towns, but every town. So my stance and what I'm sharing and why I brought this up is because every place that you live, including America's number one on top of this, is always going to change depending on the current administration that is in power, as well as the current seasons and times. So just because it was safe a couple of years ago while we were there, it is no longer a place that I, myself, nor I believe David, would want to be due to that warning that was given, because they are sparing and they are sparing none. So with that stated, I want to share that with people, that use your common sense about life and traveling when it comes down to, is Mexico safe? Because that's a day old question. Is Thailand safe? Is there, you know, lady boys in Thailand? You know, there's always these questions that we get because we consume social media from a point and a standpoint of drama. Every human is addicted to drama in some type of shape, form, or fashion. It could be real reality TV style drama. It could be courtroom drama. It could be politic drama. It could be religious drama. It could be LGBTQ plus community drama. It could be racial drama. It could be woman versus, you know, man, or it could be menopause. It could be, there's always drama in life, right? It's what we choose to create that. My point being in all of that share, and why I opened up this can of worms, was to address the fact that always do your due diligence. Always know that where you're going and what you're, you know, being a part of. This is one thing that David is very good about, is keeping his the tempo, the pulse on current affairs, where we are, and, you know, abroad. Because guess what? We are a world society, are we not? We can travel around the world, and next thing you know, 24 hours later, you're halfway across the world in, Australia, Southeast Asia, wherever you want to be. So with that said, Mr. Jones, what's your thoughts about that short, sweet, and simple topic of, is traveling abroad safe, and more importantly, Mexico right now?
Well, the cartel is saying, y'all better get out of here. I just saw a message just now that airlines are selling flights for $70 to Mexico. Nobody wants to go. And you know what? I don't blame them. Fuck around and find out. At the end of the day, America is the number one bully, and really, the aggressor. At the end of the day, and so are the people, are the aggressors, and we wonder why. And yet the roosters are coming home to roast, just like now. Just saw Mexico just released, an actual digital currency, and so this is where countries are starting to, separate themselves from America and are collaborating with each other because we have been bamboozled, because we have been told America is, the greatest country. And as I've continued to share with you guys, we are changing. We're moving to a global society. And as always, history repeats itself. Every empire falls. The Roman Empire falls. Yeah, right. All of these major empires that we've heard about in our past times has fallen due to, whatever reason. And America's only been around for 250 years. So this is where we really have to take a look at, our society, and more so ourselves, and how we're showing up, and how we're being the aggressor, and how we're not communicating, and how we're not effectively communicating and listening to other countries and what they can provide and what they can do and how they can be able to all come together. And so this is really where we get to retool while we talk about AI, that now we get to really create, and we get to, imagine things at the speed of light. It's no longer, you don't know how to do this, you don't know how to do that. Now you can do it just by imagining it and having it positive energy at the end of the day. And speaking of positive energy, so we can, flip this on its head, this place is definitely not Mexico. There has been so much more things to do other than going to Wingstop or going to the movies or going, into town to watch the festivals, although that was absolutely amazing with the festivals that we got to go to in Guanajuato and see all the amazing work. But we got to do some real deal Holyfield stuff, and this was one of them for sure. So check this out.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Two different levels, I cannot relate. You never win if you playing it safe. It's all a game until you get played. You speaking so loud with nothing to say. Hey, I'm betting it down on me. They said they ride for me, and they talk so bad on me. I know there's no friends in this business. That's why I keep my family close. Let's go. Put in work and secure the bag, and then take it back to my folks.
It's been a cold, cold summer. Ice in my veins, but I'm about to warm. Yeah, it's been a cold, cold summer. Ice in my veins, but I'm about to warm.
Time will only tell. You can try me if you want. Like it get real crazy. You can try me if you want. We gon' find out soon. We gon' find out soon.
Yeah, so that right there, my friends, was a great time that we had at Top Cart, if I said that right, and that was in Bangkok, and I thought it was on top of a roof at first, but it wasn't. It was on the ground floor, and the spaces around there, the actual city around that place was absolutely amazing. It wasn't too far from the place that we are at now. If you guys did not see, we also went to this like I would say a museum, like picture, like art, AI kind of view thing that had these different, concepts and pictures and images. You guys definitely make sure you're following the Hello Passport actual TikTok channel on TikTok. And if you guys don't know, look, we're on all of these different, social media outlets, from TikTok to YouTube to Twitch to Instagram to Facebook, the good old Meta. And then, of course, Instagram, LinkedIn, as well. So we want to thank you all that are joining us, especially those of you that are on TikTok watching us live. Definitely make sure you guys come in here and join us. But what you got on, the adventures and things of that sort, Tara?
I will say at the end of the day that the adventures that we do, versus what we were adventuring in Mexico, it's definitely different, but that's because it's a different size of city. So, Bangkok is 12 plus million people. Guanajuato City is a couple 100,000. So obviously a huge difference in size. And so there's different activities available and different, cultures. But I will say that, here, something that we get to do is, experience not only a historical side like temples and we live right next door to a temple, then we live right across the street from a temple. There's temples everywhere for sure here. And then on the other side of that, you get to also experience modern, technology, modern experiences, modern. And what I'm meaning is like the malls, the buildings, the infrastructure here within the ecosystem of the e-commerce and business is really, it's higher quality than America. And that's, the malls, the worst mall here, a kind of rundown mall here, something that has been, been there, done that kind of, is the equivalent to a nice mall back in America, like the Galleria, for instance, in Houston. That mall has been around for ages. Yes, it's one of the top malls in Texas, but it is the ambiance and the aesthetics are outdated. And when you step into malls here or stepped into office buildings here, it is on a different level. And that's coming from someone who used to be in the industry of office interiors and saw a lot of office buildings and saw a lot of interior spaces across, Houston and Texas. And just to see the different level of those details is, especially when people think that Thailand is a second or third world country. Yes, I guess if you look at the data and the numbers based off of what people make on a monthly basis compared to what people make in America, yeah, but also in America, people are in debt to their eyebrows. Like I saw on TikTok, this gentleman in South Korea is in debt for $300,000. And dude, the things that happen in South Korea for being in debt versus what happens in America, like we are encouraged to be in debt in America, but that's not the case in other countries. They don't encourage you to, live in a state of debt. And I want people to understand that's tied back to the financial system. That's a different conversation. Join us on Tuesdays on the AI Live Ed Show. The Live AI Ed Show. Let me get that out correctly. But we talk about subjects like that. Like this past week, we just talked about the financial system and fintech and how that is changing. And that's a part of the conversation. This all is one. It all goes in hand. And so, and sharing, the experiences that you see, you see people, one thing that I love, and this kind of blends into the cultural side of things, is that people will go get their food and go outside and find a place to sit down, whether it's just sitting in a circle on the ground, sitting on the curbside, sitting at a picnic table. They will find a place and gather and eat. And that's one of the things about, Thailand is, when David's, sharing experiences, that experience goes through culture and through food and through all of those kind of other things that ultimately, food here, people order within like a community table. So if you go out with a group of people, 2 or more, they're ordering to share. It is a sharing style. And a lot of times menus are set up in that relationship to share. That is the culture here. And so it is just interesting and intriguing, but you don't know those things until you actually go visit a place. These things that we're speaking about are things that you actually have to physically be there to experience, to see them. yes, you can. Now we have these things called social media, and social media brings it to our fingertips. And so we feel like we've been to a place without ever traveling there because we've lived other people's experiences. We went through their experience of like, oh, what's going on here? You know, how was this, buffet? How was, eating at a street food vendor? All of these different experiences. But the reality is when you actually are there yourself and you see how people treat you. And here in Thailand, I will tell you, Thailand has been my favorite place so far. I love, by the way, don't get this wrong. I grew up around a lot of Latin cultured, influence, a lot of friends that were, Latin and from Latin communities. A lot of my, growing up, dear friends of my life today are within the Hispanic culture. And I think that, so I have a lot of tie back to that culture of the sense of that it's kind of homey. So in Mexico, it felt super homey to me. But I will share with you, getting into Thailand, it is something about their culture that just the way they live within public spaces that is just very welcoming. And I can't, really put it into words, but that also comes through, in food, in the way they interact with you. And I will also say, part of that is too, because Thailand is a very hospitable country. They built their reputation on hospitality. Let me get that out correctly. And stuff that we pay for back in the States as VIP service is just automatically given here. So sometimes when someone might say, hello, when you walk into a 7-Eleven or whatever, and you get a warm greeting, that's because it's required by the standards of their position that they work. You might not get that back in the States. So I would just say at the end of the day, the experience overall here has been one that I can't describe without actually feeling it. The unassuming people, that's one thing like here, people don't make eye contact. They don't stare at people. And being from America, we know how people stare. And you feel like you're in a fishbowl at all times. So I would say, the conversation of experience can be, widened into so many other parts, but to actually get a true experience, like David has shared many times, stop going out for a couple of weekends and save those, nights at the bar or the restaurant. It's going to cost you $200 now. And put that towards, a ticket and go abroad and, travel and try those experiences. You might be surprised at what comes to you through an experience like that. And one thing I will say about experiences, and then I'm going to pass this mic back over, is that as Americans, because obviously our community is predominantly American, we also have to understand when we travel to another community, it's like another country. It's like traveling to someone else's house. So you put your best manners on. You make sure that you're polite. You make sure that just because the locals are doing it, just because grandma got her feet on the coffee table does not mean you can also put your feet on the coffee table, is what I'm trying to say. So be mindful of that. A lot of times when we travel, we see other foreigners, a lot of times Americans, that just have this attitude, that American attitude of entitlement, of it has to be this way, and I got money, and I'm going to pay for it this way. And I will tell you, listening to Thais talk about when Americans or other foreigners throw around their money, they could care less. It's like, I don't care about your money. Like, don't be rude. You just don't need to be rude about things. And I've seen that conversation pop up a few times, and it's intriguing to hear from people that live here how that impacts them or how that comes across to them. So that would just be my, hey, food for thought when you travel. Be mindful that you are traveling to, someone else's house, and just because Granny and the, and your auntie have their feet on the coffee table and, aren't picking up their soda cans doesn't mean that you can live that way as well. Mr. Jones, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll add on to that. When they talk about, Thailand being, the land of the smiles, I would say that is somewhat true. But at the end of the day, just like in Mexico, just like in Colombia, there are people that are barely making it, living day to day, and trying to survive. And the last thing they can think about is smiling at your ass. And so, when they say that, yes, that is true. And there have been some moments, that people have been very generous and very courteous. And then there's other moments that, you walk by people and, you get to look and, their stomach could be hurting. But, you just can't take things personally, and you can't take things, as what you might come up with the story. And then, elevators. When you get on the elevator, in America, most people want to talk, how you doing, have a good day, and do all of that, chit chat. Here, none of that. People will literally turn around and look in the corner and not say a word. When they greet each other, it's Swati Ka, for a woman, it's Swati Cup for a man. These are different cultural things that you might not be accustomed to. In America, it's just, what's up? Hi. That's it. And then they bow as well, depending on the hierarchy of, where you are. If you're a servant, they're going to bow a little bit lower, than, to anybody else. And so there's different, situations. When we talk about food, there's a lot more buffet style food places here in Thailand when it comes to the hot pot, when it comes to Japanese, when it comes to this, when it comes to, seafood buffet. There's so many different buffets, and it's not your Golden Corral buffet. It's actually real damn good food. And so these are just some of the things that we want to talk about. And so, as we're on the topic of food and things of that sort, if you guys don't know, Thailand was definitely not emailed or in the memo, but they love them some damn fried chicken, and they love them some damn watermelon, and they love them some mango. That was nowhere near in any TikTok or any of these things that we were researching for the first year before we were coming here. But check this out. We always find a chicken on the grill, and it gets our asses every time. So look, it doesn't matter where you go. In Mexico, baked chicken on the fire, we got it. Thailand, baked chicken on the fire, we got it. 200 baht, $6 here. I'm gonna tell you how good it is. It looked good. Now the pork, chicken, raw on the street, not so much. But check out this actual market that we went to today. A little graunchy. Smell, this is smell. But the fruit is amazing. Fruit is cheap, very cheap. Cheaper than HEB, I'll tell you that. But check this out. I'm gonna tell y'all how good that chicken is though. I ain't forgot. Toodles. And that chicken was absolutely amazing. I will say, it wasn't as good as Mexico chicken. I'm gonna just go ahead and call a spade a spade. And it could have been that chicken, but that particular one that we had, it was not as good as Mexico. I think in Mexico, this one it's more dried out, where in Mexico is rotisserie style, where that bad boy was rolling, and this one is just straight heat. And so after 2-3 hours of being on the fire, kind of gets a little tough. But they put some sauce on there that was fire. I don't know what the hell they put on there, but it was pretty good, and some nuts. So it was a little bit of different, and they chop it up a little bit different as well. And so
I will say the only other thing, is because Mr. Jones has taught me this, is I think it's because Mexico uses, I do know that he uses wood, different type of wood. When I was sharing with him that you barbecued, I asked him what type of wood they used, and they actually have to bring it in. They have apple wood and mesquite and things like that. And so I don't think they use wood here. And just from a non-barbecuing type of person that has been taught by David, who is a barbecuing type of person, that makes a huge difference. And my taste buds would agree. That part.
And so check this out. We're going to move on to the next one. If you guys don't know, the Cookie Monster's here.
Officially, David's mission is to find the best cookies around the world. So we're going to be doing Cookie Monster rating from David around the world. So this is going to be our first spot in Thailand.
That's because he said he's officially a Cookie Monster.
No, I know, but yes. These damn cookies are heavy as hell. That's at least 5 pounds.
Soft.
So we're gonna try that when we get home. All right, so we're about to try the creamy cloud, which is macadamia and chocolate chip.
White chocolate.
That's a damn cookie. Okay? That's a mountain. From one cookie lover to the next, that's a cookie. I'm gonna give it a 7.5. I'm gonna give it a 7.5. That's what I'm gonna give it. That's it. I don't know why you. What's it? So Evie's cookies was real good. That was a big ass thick cookie. I will say that. It could have had some more ingredients in it. It was a little on the dry side. So like I said, it got a 7 because I've had some other cookies here that I did not do a video on, and they were pretty damn good. And so
it means we got to go back and do a video.
We got to go back and do videos. And so the food is on a whole different level.
Why?
Well, first of all, the food is on well, I would say this, the type of food, the variety of food, and then the process that's not in the food. If you guys don't know, your boy's down 40 pounds since he's been here in Thailand. And, you know, it's not just because of the food, but actually working out and being consistent working out over the last 4 months has definitely been a game changer. But the food is just a different perspective of, you know, of they eat a lot more broths here. The meat is completely different. You know, when you think of pork back home, swine, my brother, you know, you get a little bit of a different feel. The pork here is completely different. It's cleaner. It's better. That's actually their number one choice of meat here is pork. And so, you know, other than, you know, seafood. And I think that's the biggest thing is that, you know, we're seafood lovers. And so unlike Mexico, we didn't get a lot of seafood in here. Seafood is on every damn corner, and you know, shrimping it up, fried chicken it up, everything has been absolutely amazing.
Stony Good Girl would agree about the seafood just because she entered the chat. But I would also add to that, you can make, like, we can make same type of dishes, whether it's in Mexico, back in the States, or here, and the food quality is different. That is the difference for me. I can make a pasta with chicken and shrimp in it and cream sauce, just how I'd make it back in the States. And after you get done eating it in the States, you're like, you all know the itis. You are stuck like a dump truck and not going anywhere. Here, you don't feel heavy. You don't feel all weighed down. And it is because the different way that they process their foods. They don't add a bunch of fillers. They don't add a bunch of longevity ingredients to make things stable shelf life. You know, it is fresh and it is made kind of to order or that day. So people, you know, that's the one thing that I would share is the quality of food. And I will say this, because of the proximity Mexico was to the United States, meaning i.e. right next door, some of the infrastructures and large corporations were in the United States and America, and they provided the same food. What am I trying to get to? Let me just get to the chase. Mexico was you were starting to get the same food and with the same fillers, the same crap in it that you get in the States. And so it was becoming no different. That's why David and I, you know, put on a lot of weight, and the lack of, you know, not getting that movement going. You know, it's a difference when there's an actual, like David said, a gym in your, you know, right here. And for us, that makes a huge difference for us instead of just going out and kind of doing isometrics and pyrometrics, like running and push-ups and things like that. So what I'm trying to share with you is the simple fact that the food is different here because of the quality. They don't have a bunch of crap and ingredients in it that America allows that they don't allow over here. So that makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference that you're eating something that you probably would eat in America every day, and you're losing weight instead of gaining weight. It's just what is so. Their bread is different over here. The rice is different over here. The meat is different over here. Everything is different because it's not chock full of a bunch of crap.
Yeah. And it's just, and not only that, I think of the mindset that we've had being over here and the difference of mindset and really, the gratefulness at the end of the day and looking at things differently. Because look, as you get older, things change and you grow from who you used to be and you look at life a little bit differently. And I was just sharing with my buddy the other day, if I had the mindset that I have now working out, and the encouragement to take care of my body as much as I do now as when I was younger, holy shit, it's a different mindset. And this is why we share with you all that. Tara and I, you hear us talking and it goes in one ear and it goes out the other. I get it, because if I was listening to my ass 5-10 years ago, I'd be like, what the hell ever you talking about? Stay your ass over there. You don't know what you're talking about. America is this, that, and the other. You dealing with that. You dealing with this. And it's like, oh, I get that. And this is why we share with you all to really be able to take a couple weekends and save up some money. I mean, a round trip flight, you can catch a round trip flight to Thailand, for $600-700 right now. Come stay for a week, 4 days, and not just stay at the resort, not just stay at the hotel, but get out. And it's going to take you more than 4 days. And I get it. People ask us all the time, did you move to Thailand? I thought you were visiting. No, we moved to Thailand, right? And that's a different experience. And you get to talk to people and you get to hear their experiences of what they think about America. And we get to share with them what we think about them. And we actually get to have a conversation. And you don't get that on social media. You could get that in Metaverse, where we could come in here and be like, hey, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Thailand. Oh, I'm from the United States. Hey, I think this. Hey, I think that. And you can actually have that conversation. You can't do that through a post. You can't do that through a video that nobody gets to interact or have a conversation and really get to engage. And that's why we continue to share with you guys this newer wave of living. So speaking of technology, we ran into somebody that Tara knows from back home quite some time ago. And this person was sharing that, oh my God, Thailand is a third world country. Technology here and the infrastructure here is shit. And this guy's from Houston, Texas. We're from Houston, Texas. And I'm going to let you know right now, Houston, Texas is a third world country compared to Thailand. I said it. Fight me. Let's do something. Move some furniture. And I'm going to tell you that because just the transportation system here alone. Tara was talking about the malls, the technology, the QR codes where you don't need a bank account. That's something that people talk about as well as, oh, what about money? What about this? Hey, Dodo, we're moving to a global economy. There's this thing called a QR code. These people here in Thailand have about 5-10 different ways that you could pay. In America, cash, credit card, and your wallet. That's it. A QR code that's connected to an app that every damn actual business can use? Hell no. They got it here in Thailand. And so this is where we share with people. You got to get outside. You got to stop listening to your mama. You got to stop listening to your daddy that think they know every fucking thing and they know absolutely fucking nothing. Stop listening to your broke ass sister that thinks she knows shit because she done made a little bit of money and ain't done shit in her life and still don't know shit, but think they know shit. And I'm not just talking about my family. I'm talking about all of our families. All of our family think they know shit and they don't know a damn thing, especially if they haven't done the traveling, especially if they haven't owned a business, especially if they haven't got out of their own comfort zone, especially if they're not making any changes in how they respond and how they react and how they communicate with people and continue to do the same shit and then wonder why. And so this is why I'm getting so passionate about this, because so many people have talked so much shit and don't know their ass from their fucking elbows. And they get online, they get on the phone, they get in your face And we think these people know everything. Like, I looked up to my father so much, and now looking back at it, it's like, motherfucker, you didn't know shit. Talking to my mom, same fucking thing. Talking to my sister, talking to family and friends. Once you get out of the country and you experience different things, you're like, what the fuck was I doing? Talking to fucking sheep that were doing the same fucking things, telling you how to do shit that they weren't doing. And so when we hear these people, make sure that you are checking people's footprints. Make sure that they're doing the shit that they tell you to do. And that's the one thing that I shared earlier, is that a lot of the things that we talk about, we're fucking doing. Most people aren't fucking doing it. I'll talk for myself. I'm doing this shit. I'm showing up. I'm being consistent with the shit. Most people aren't. They talk about it. They chat about it. They do it once or twice or 3 or 4 times, but they're not fucking consistent about shit. And that's where the fucking success lies, in being consistent in the shit and not just talking about the shit, and stop coming up with excuses. So many people come up with excuses and got no execution, but still got a whole bunch of fucking excuses. There's execution, there's fucking paperwork, there's what you do, what you get done. That's what fucking matters. When you get to heaven, nobody's going to care about your feelings. Nobody's going to care about your fucking emotions. What did you accomplish, and what did you do to other people, and how did you treat other people at the end of the day? And more importantly, how did you treat yourself, and what did you change? And so stop listening to yourself at that, with that bullshit lies that we tell ourselves. Oh, I can't travel. Oh, you guys are lucky. No, we're not fucking lucky. We sacrifice. We stop doing the stupid shit and we start doing the real shit and put our head down and do it. So it blows my mind when people say, oh, I wish I could do that. Your ass can. Stop going to the movies. Stop spending $20 on a drink. Stop buying all the bullshit that you're buying and stack it for 3 weeks. Stack it for 4 weeks. Hell, stack it for a year. I guarantee you, you will be able to do something more than what you've been doing with the same shit and the same mentality. So that's what I have to share. And so on that fact, this is why Thailand is not a third world country.
So Tara and I went to Tops in Thailand, and y'all, the robots have jobs now. This little dude rolled up on me like, sir, your shorts look like they survived a food fight. You need detergent. Forget customer service. This robot straight up roasted my ass and tried to upsell me a family-sized Tide. Like, bruh, relax. I'm not running a laundromat. Robots aren't coming for our jobs. They're already out here.
Well, what I would say about technology is back to the QR codes, like you were sharing. And well, first of all, about the robots, they're everywhere here in stores. They definitely utilize, and in restaurants. That was one thing that I know David and I saw in the airport one time within the last few years, was the robot, bringing out food, and that's something very common here. And so I would say a lot of times that we think Southeast Asia is behind us. In reality, they're really not. They have their same problems. They have their same ins and outs. They have their same, infrastructure, things that happen just like they happen in the States. But I think at the end of the day, for us to sit in the States and think that we're better, that we're the land of the free and we're top dog and we're this, that, and the other, and that we look down our nose, proverbial noses, at every other country because they're not the world dominant power, is pretty disgusting. People are just living their lives out here, as David shared, just trying to make it through. They've got family, they've got brothers and sisters and moms and cousins and aunts and uncles. They have grandparents, passing away, or they have bills that are due. It's the same thing that you're going through. The ecosystems and the economical, portion of it is just different because of the land and geographical area that they live in. But we're all just human. We're all just trying to make it through this world of this little game called life. And there is no manual, there is no handbook, there is no how to do things. I was listening to a podcast the other day, that was kind of talking about that subject. And I think a lot of times as humans, we're searching for purpose in our life. And, people could say that you guys traveling abroad, that's a part of you searching for purpose within your life. And you can classify it however you want to. That's your prerogative and your opinion. I don't really classify it as anything except for, I know what America's like and I wanted to go experience other places. And that's what I'm doing. And I think a lot of times we get captured in the rat race that we all get caught up in, and we lose focus of, what is life and what is, where you want to do life at, whether that's abroad, whether that's, within the country that you're born and raised. I mean, you could be like some family members that I know that stay very close to home. They were kind of born and raised in that area. And I'm not just talking about immediate family. I have extended family that, have, stayed very close to home, and there's nothing wrong with that. They're quite traveled, well diverse, but they stayed closer to home and still will maintain that proximity. For me, the wind blows and it's like, oh, let's go over here and check this out for a while. And that works for, myself. So I would share within the realm of, technology is that we as Americans have to understand that there's a lot of technically advanced societies out here besides just ours. And things might be done different. There's no, just because you get to a destination, there could be 10 different routes. Doesn't mean any route is the wrong route, but just you got there. And that's the thing about life and life abroad is that, so you don't speak the language that most of the people do. I was literally chuckling the other day because someone was like, here that I ran into was like a little Thai lady that I've sat in a sauna with before. She's like, I love Google Translate. It makes our world so much easier to talk to people that we normally wouldn't be able to. And I was like, it's such a great outlook because it's true. Google Translate, allows me to walk up and ask a question. The other day I was looking, where do I pick up a package that was delivered by the Thailand Post? I didn't know. So I just went and asked the front desk, and they're like, oh yeah, right over there. And they just help you and on you go. Could you imagine if we didn't have Google Translate? And I was like, doing charades out there trying to explain what I needed, or trying to look through a book of, maybe a dictionary that was a translation that we used to do back in the day. Technology is a great thing. So that's what I would say, Mr. Jones, is technology is a great thing, and don't knock it till you see it in other countries. It might even be more advanced than ours.
Yeah. And so, as we wrap this up, guys, if you guys don't know, we have an amazing view outside of our condo that, once again, we've been blessed being able to take the business, being able to take the relationship, being able to go to, Colombia and stay there for almost a year, and then, move to Mexico. And the crazy thing about Mexico, we were just going to meet our family, in Cancun, and then maybe go somewhere else. And it end up, where we end up staying in Mexico for almost 3 years. And that was an amazing experience. And now we're here in Thailand. And, some people will say, oh, you're lucky. Oh, you've been spoon fed. You haven't worked for anything that you've done. And you've just got everything on just by other people. I call bullshit, especially for myself. Everything that I've had to do and work for, I've had to work 2 times harder than my white counterparts. I've had to go through racism. I've had to go through called every name up underneath the book, and still, made it through the struggle. Being in corporate America alone, I wasn't just a secretary. I was a VP. I was a channel manager. I was a market director. I held positions that most people are wishing to get to right now at a younger age, managing, under over 200 people. And so I busted my ass getting up at the crack of dawn and working 12, 15, 100 hours a week, multiple weeks in a row, taking the risk of saying, hey, move me from Houston, Texas to LA in 3 days, do that. And then thrive in LA and live there by yourself with no family, no friends, and then say, you know what? Now pick your ass up and go to Minnesota, and did that. And then, lived in Minnesota for a year, then had to go through, mom going through cancer and having to pick my ass back up and, come back to Houston. So starting over from David is not an issue whatsoever. I've been doing that. And I know how to thrive and get better each and every time that I have to start over and, replan and restructure to where, going to Houston now, getting with a company that I was dealing with chemicals where I literally could melt your body and nobody would find your ass. And then, going to, headsets and dealing with all the craziness there where, I literally had to take over another person's region that was making $100,000 more. Making 100, or should I say, making 100,000 compared to my 90,000. They got rid of that position and wanted to give me 5,000 to handle $100,000 territory. So don't talk to me about not working or being lucky. I've had to bust my ass and deal with racism, deal with fucking everything under the moon to get where I've gotten. And so when I do look out this window and I do get to do the things that I do, luck, not work. Bullshit. Still doing that right now to this day. And sometimes I think about it like, damn, I'm doing more work now than I did at working at a corporate job. I wish I could be on a plane sipping, a gin and tonic and in a hotel room, just sending out damn samples for headsets and, having clients and taking them to dinners and all of that stuff. I wish I could do that, but I can't because guess what? I don't have the freedom that I have now. And so this is just a reminder for you guys all to be grateful for what you have, whether it is at a corporate job, whether it is, doing something that you love or doing something that you don't like. You got to do the things and be disciplined to get the things that you do want. And a lot of times we complain about things that we don't have, but you got to ask yourself, is your ass actually doing the shit that you actually need to do the things that you want to do? You want to go out, you want to do this, you want to eat, you want to do this. What are you doing to get that? How are you working instead of talking about other people not working and dogging them out and talking about them? So make sure you're not a hater to yourself. You're not a hater to other people. And you make sure you're doing the work and make sure you're doing it internally, more importantly, and especially as we wrap this bad boy up. Here goes another little clip of us traveling around and being in Bangkok. And if you don't know David, I love Transformers from I was a little kid. And so they have a center here, or should I say area here that is dedicated to Transformers. And a lot of people seen it, a lot of people haven't, but actually being here in person, it's a different vibe. Check it out.
I made some changes in my life, don't regret none of them. So if you ain't heard from me, then you probably one of them. Niggas want different results, but do the same shit. They wait for it to come. I became it. Guess who's been Zach, nigga? You back here, back on that bullshit you always on. Everything was going too good too long. I just want to hold you right now. The new you I can't do. I knew you, this ain't you. I'm not no angel, but always remain true. You hear what they say, my only complaint you wasn't just listening. You let that shit taint you. We fell out like thanks do. I lost all respect for niggas that's bitches, so don't call or text. Them bitches get checked like they all correct, but they be wrong, that's why they're called your ex.
So that right there was a view of our time in Thailand and Bangkok, guys. And so definitely, guys, make sure you're following our Hello Passport. The Tara has been putting together a slew of videos and pictures and images of our travels here in Thailand. So definitely make sure you guys go and visit that. But without further ado, guys, I want to be able to end this with a little video that I did, or actually the other day, one last video. The other day, you guys want to check out, our view and what we have to go through some mornings. Check this out.
I don't know what y'all doing, but y'all doing a lot.
for a Sunday morning. Just want to let y'all know that. Good morning from Bangkok. It's a little smoky today.
Yeah, so that right there was an actual festival that they had for the monks, because the monks could not talk for, I believe, almost 3 months. Could you imagine not talking for 3 months and not being able to open up your mouth? And so that was an actual celebration for them to come out of their actual silent treatment. And I think we'll do on the next episode, like some different things that we learned about monks, because there's a lot of things that I didn't know that I know now that is just crazy, especially when it comes down to the king and queen and all of that stuff here in Thailand. It is night and day from American politics and the things that happen here, and how, you know, you can get outs real quick here, just like in other places as well.
Absolutely. So with that said, we greatly appreciate you guys joining us today, having a chit-chat conversation about our travels abroad, more importantly in Thailand, but we talked about Mexico and our time there, and, you know, all of the new things that we discovered. And again, guys, it's just everybody up for their own experiences and how they like to experience things. And if traveling abroad is not your thing, you know, you enjoy staying closer to home, there's nothing wrong with that. Just get out and experience life to its fullest. And you know the drill for sure. Mr. Jones?
Yeah. So listen to this last video, guys, and we're going to be out of here. Check this out. I was asking myself the other day, I was like, how the hell did I get to Bangkok, Thailand? And I know exactly how. My ass, Tara ass. We didn't quit. We didn't give up. We didn't say no. A lot of people say no to things that they should be saying yes to, and they say yes to the same shit that they say they would say no to, and they wonder why their life isn't where it needs to be, because of you. And so if you're wondering why your life isn't working, you're wondering why your life isn't going the way it wants to be, look in the mirror, my friends, because sometimes it's you. If you want to go upwardly, you gotta look inwardly. So the real question is, why not you? Let me help you out with something. Motivation comes from you. Discipline comes from you. Your passion comes from you. So often we look for external things to get those things rocking and rolling, but let me share with you something. It's you that has to get those things rocking and rolling. Not your mama, not your daddy, not your sister, not your so-called friends, not your so-called co-workers. You is what matters. And you have to believe in yourself more than anything. That's the message for the day. You know the drill. Toodles.
Welcome to Getting Naked, where we strip away the bullshit and dive headfirst into the raw, unfiltered, and hilariously messy world of life and entrepreneurship.
We're here to expose the real truths of owning a business and the gut-wrenching challenges that pop up along the way. More importantly, the mind-blowing rewards while we juggle personal growth, wild adventures as digital entrepreneurs traveling the world, and the ins and outs of an interracial relationship, all seasoned with those what the fuck moments that make it all worthwhile.
This isn't your typical buttoned-up podcast. We're uncensored, unapologetically authentic, and just plain funny as fuck. We live by facts over feelings, bringing you the real deal without sugarcoating shit. So, buckle up, buttercups, and get ready to get real, get raw, and most importantly, have a laugh with us.
But wait, there's more. We're breaking new ground into the metaverse with our Hello Plaza. That's right, folks, we're taking this shit to the next level. We are one of the first podcasts in the metaverse. You can join us from all your devices. Hell, you can even join from your cell phone. Just press the damn button and join us. You won't blow up. We promise.
Now, let's get naked.